So this is a presentation of Hub Social Media Campaigning Workshop.
Okay, so the learning objectives for this session are to why use social media and why use advertising and not just organic posts, statistics on advertising versus the organic posts, how to use targeting in advertising, content to advertise and champion experience, and examples of advertising and why wording and graphics are important, and the challenges of social media campaigning.
So why use social media? Well, here in the UK, there are over 44 million users of Facebook, over 26 million users of Instagram, and over 13 million users of Twitter. It's also a universal platform that can be used by people of all ages and from all backgrounds. Here in Southampton and Portsmouth alone, there's over 500,000 users of Facebook that could be reached by this advertising, and it's important to remember that Facebook advertising also directly links to Instagram. And why use targeted advertising? Well, you can use this to reach the 3 in 4 who aren't already engaged with mental health, because it's more likely that the users that already follow you and would see your organic posts are likely to already have an interest in mental health. And you can also target specific demographics, such as men, who are one of our target audiences, as they often struggle to be open about their mental health.
Okay, this slide is on the statistics that we found comparing advertised posts and organic posts. So the first part is link clicks, and as you can see, this is the amount of people who followed the link to the blogs, and with advertised posts it's 8 times more than the organic posts. We also have the cost per click, which is pretty self-explanatory, but that's how much it costs for a person to go into the blog. So for advertised posts, it does cost something, whereas for organic posts, it costs nothing. You also have your reach. So this is the number of people who saw the ad at least once. And again, this is a lot higher. It's roughly about 5 times more for the advertised posts than it is compared to the organic posts. And as you can see at the bottom, you have the total spent. So for advertised posts, it does cost, but it's not very much cost for the amount of more people that you would reach. So we kind of suggest that do a mixture of organic posts and advertised posts.
So targeting is a very simple process, and it's basically used to include or exclude certain factors, such as specific demographics, so these would be your work or education, interests, so hobbies, activities or sports, and behaviours which we did not include, but would be travel or digital activities. And you use these to identify both the people that you do want to see your ad and the people that you don't want to see your ad in order to narrow your target audience. In our campaigns, we use this to target different genders, ages, locations, so for us that was the 2 cities, education and interests such as yoga. And our hub is happy to share this list for anybody who may struggle with targeting.
So what types of content can you advertise? Basically anything that you can think of, whether that's blogs, vlogs, poems, art, quotes, or songs. Using our hub as an example, we've had a blog written on myth versus facts about mental health. We've had blog posts for various awareness dates, such as a champion who wrote a blog for young carers for Carers Week. We've had a champion who's written a poem themed on kindness for Mental Health Awareness Week. And we have another champion who shares positive, inspirational quotes every single day. Basically, as long as the champion is expressing themselves with the aim of challenging stigma, then that's the most important thing. And it's also important to remember that eye-catching, interesting content will appeal more.
Okay, on this slide, it's some screenshots of what an advert looks like compared to what an organic post looks like. With your ad, you have less space for text before it has like the little see more bit, which means that you generally want to make your ad line quite punchy and small, so you have less space. You also don't need a hyperlink like you do on an organic post, because you can just click on the advert and it will take you to the blog. You also have, with the organic posts, you tend to put a bit more information, so such as hashtags, and linked to other pages. Like for this one, we've got the Times Change link on our organic post. That just makes it more likely to trend and people to be able to see it.
So in my experience as a champion, the best thing about using social media advertising is that it allows you to talk more in depth about a subject that you're passionate about than you would be able to in a standard kind of physical social contact event. So for example, I'm particularly passionate about male mental health, and that's a topic that I was able to write a blog post about, which was advertised across various social media. And that's not something that you can just bring up in a random conversation at an event with a stranger.
I personally found it very cathartic to be able to write out what I'm saying and know that what I was saying was resonating with the people that were reading it. And I also really like the fact that you could alter what you're saying, because this meant that I could make sure that I fitted everything in that I wanted to say and make sure that my points were coming across exactly as I intended to.
Okay, so this part of the presentation, we're going to talk about the ad and kind of show you what it would look like on Facebook. So you break it into two parts. You have your audience, your demographic, and you also have your ad creative. This slide is talking about your audience. So this is where you have to think about who you want to target and who would identify with what kind of content you're using. So for this particular ad, we did it on Josh's blog that he mentioned previously about mental health, and we did this for Mental Health Awareness Week. So this kind of needs to be split into a few different parts. So one part is the location, so the geographical area that you want to target. For us, this would be Southampton and Portsmouth, because that's where our hub is based. You also have age. So it's kind of thinking here about what age group you want to target. So for us, we wanted to appeal to young people, because that's we wanted to match Josh with his peers. So we chose 18 to 30 for the age group. You also have the gender. So you can have male, female, or all. Currently, Facebook doesn't let you identify any other genders. You only have those three options, but the kind of all will get everyone, really. So for this particular ad, we wanted to target males, because that's where Josh wanted to target his advert. So we changed the gender to male. You also have the exclude category. So this is who you want to exclude, as Zoe mentioned previously. So we have words here like mindfulness or the job title of mental health technician. So it's people that are already engaged with mental health we didn't want to be targeting, so we excluded them. We also have a handy tool of people who match. So this is the exact opposite of the people exclude. So it's people that you want to be targeting, people that have a particular interest. So for us, like I said, we wanted to match Josh to his peers. So we chose people that would have a similar interest to him. So things like such tattoos and rock music and things like that, and comics. And then you'll see in the corner that you have the potential reach. So this is the amount of people that you'd be reaching based on all of that information. So the next part of your ad is your ad creative. This is what your ad will actually show up and kind of what it would say. So the first thing you need to think about is your format. So that's the structure of your ad, of whether you want to have a single image, video, or multiple, which in Facebook advertising is called a carousel. So for us, because this was a single blog, so it's Josh's blog, so we wanted, it was just on one person, so we used a single image. You also have to think about your media. So your media is what the picture will look like. So this is like the colours and styles. For our case, we wanted to give it a comic book kind of look, so but within the Times Change feel. So we used the orange, and which is quite bright and poppy, which is the comic book kind of look, and also we used the Times Change kind of pink for the dots. We also had the speech bubble with the shadowing, which is a comic book kind of esque look. So the whole image was the aim that we had with it. You also need to think about your primary text. So this is what your ad will say. So for us, our primary text was Josh shares how he beat stigma and started to be kind to himself. So we use the term beat because this is appealing to males in by media research, because they like to feel more in control of things. And also the term beat matches with the comic book feel as well, like kind of beating villains and things like that. So you also have your headline. So your headline is optional. It just gives a bit of extra information, so it's what it's called. So for us, we called it Joshua's blog to clue people in that it was a blog. You also have your description. Again, this is optional and it just gives some more extra information like your headline. And in this case, we wrote Mental Health Awareness Week so that people knew what topic it was, why we were doing it at that particular time. The next kind of slide that we have here will be Zoe, and she'll be talking about A/B testing.
So A/B testing is basically used for when you're starting out with advertising and you want to experiment with different colours or other aspects of your blog, of your ad, and seeing how this impacts the ad and which approach would work best for what you want to achieve. So this example is Anna's blog, Mental Health Awareness Week, and as you can see, the picture on the left is a lot more pretty and feminine, whereas the picture on the right uses more masculine colours and imagery. And we shared both of these pictures with both genders to see how this would impact who saw the ad. And the results basically show us that in order to reach the maximum amount of people, we should use multiple ads per champion using different targeting methods. And we also carried out an A/B test on different age groups. And for the 18 to 30 year age bracket, we reached 791 people and had 14 clicks. Whereas for the 31 year plus age bracket, we reached 3,915 people and had 44 clicks.
So as you can imagine, there's quite a few challenges that comes with doing this type of social media. So there's challenges for adverts and both organic posts alike. So with adverts, a few of your challenges would be your Facebook advertising policies and the formats change often. So as one of the things is you now have a new way of doing videos, which and you also have that you might have a post that you had put out before, and then a week later you come to put a similar type of post out with similar wording, and it may now be too political. This could be due to the kind of social media things that are going on social media at the moment, especially if there's an election coming up or anything like that. They'll check your ads more closely to see that you're not endorsing a certain political topic. So this can be solved by confirming your identity and also by adding a disclaimer to your ad to say that it's sponsored by your hub. You do need to give a couple of weeks for both of these. So if you're wanting to start doing adverts, I would say make sure that you've got all of this confirmed before you start trying to run your ads, because then your ads might be rejected, and therefore you've especially if it's for a particular day, you might have missed your boat. Okay. So you also have the challenge of word to picture ratio. So this is that you can't have too much text to your image. So if you're wanting to have a logo on there, that can take up your whole text amount. So if I go to the next slide quickly, I'll show you what I mean. So as you can see here, your logo, by the lovely arrow there, your logo has to be quite small and in the corner. But if you're wanting to do something for, like with us, we were doing blogs. So the way we got around this was by putting a speech bubble there, which suggested that the person in the image had something to say, and that kind of gets around that whole text to picture ratio. So one of the other challenges that you may have is that the daily budget's not always used. So this is because when on Facebook, for Facebook advertising, you're competing with other companies and organisations for a limited ad space. You also have, and sometimes you might just be outbid, and that's okay. You'll probably have better luck the next day. You also have that any edits you want to put on your ad puts it back in review. So if you notice a typo or something that you need to change quickly just before, then your ad can be put back into review, which can take up to 24 hours to be reapproved. So again, I suggest here, give yourself a lot of preparation and make sure your ad is perfect before you press the publish button. This is the same with your setting up blogs with start and end dates. If you start on an advert and you leave the page to go and do something else and you come back to it, you have to reset your date. So make sure your dates are perfect before you publish, because again, it will be put back in review if you realise you've put the wrong date on it. That's kind of most of the challenges that you'll have with adverts. With organic challenges, it's that you need to work closely with the champions so that you need to give yourself a lot of time for preparation. I think most of the challenge is preparation, really. But it means that you just need to make sure that you have enough time for the champion's input, because you want it to be champion-led. You also have the challenge of, you need to have, with organic posts, of having to build an audience. This means that you need to be posting regularly to have your established audience being engaged, so that they like and share your content, which means you can then reach more people, and through them reach even more people. So this means that you do need quite a lot of content, which means you need to be posting about once a day. This can be difficult if you work part-time, or if you want to be putting things out on the weekends. And so you can have buffer tools which will help you with this. And they can help you schedule things. So I think that's the main kind of challenges that you have with Facebook advertising and kind of your organic posts. And that's the end.